First off, for you people out in the electronic audience, I want to say, and well, and to people here, but particularly to you, I want to say, when I'm dead and gone, and it's too late, then you'll be sorry. Are you serious? Well, no, but in Chapter 7 of the handbook about how to have your own strange cable TV show, it says you should say that. Of course, I'm looking forward to Chapter 10. It's how to bring in the big bucks. I sure hope that didn't have anything to do with hunting. All right. Here we go. You know how it goes out there in TV land, don't you? What it is I'll start throwing out these ping pong balls, and if I hit your number at home, you know who you are, then you send in some big bucks. Don't think about it, just go ahead and do it. Or we could do it another way. You send me in your dreams. No, never mind. Some of you might do that. Stick with Mother Cherokee or whoever you're using as your spiritual advisor. Here we go. It's me trying to make some comment on the ones that have been requested that just were read. And Kyroots said, true rebel thought has no shadow. There's been one or two the last several nights, if you recall. This literally cannot be true because you're dealing with the fact that it would be something that would cast no shadow, so it would be non-existent. So get that out of the way. But it would be in a sense that true rebel thought, being able to think, would be far beyond the ordinary polar-based structures, substructures of thought. It would fly directly in the physical face of all pertinent evidence about how the human nervous system works, because it's saying that you could think one thing and have not even the slightest physical reality of there being an alternative. In other words, you could not think that, all right, 2 and 2 is 4. Let's call it that, a thought. The other way that 2 and 2, of course, is 4 is that it is not any non-4. There has to be that. That is, at the simplest level, that is the shadow of such a thought. That which it is not. True rebel thought has no shadow, which I could jump ahead and say, as one guy did, that this kind of thing is what makes this stuff so popular. True rebel thought has no shadow. In other words, whatever you think has no alternative. Yeah. But see, as soon as you say that to the mind, not just somebody else's mind, to your own nervous system, as soon as you say that, your mind, it can't help it. It's like a reflex. Don't worry about the gag action. It's like kicking your own mind in its private parts. Or, for those of you that are touchy about that sort of thing, tapping yourself on the knee with a little rubber hammer. That your mind, when you say, all right, true rebel thought has no possibility of an alternative. Your mind cannot even hear that. It's like a sound wave going to your eardrum. They call it your mind. And it's like your eardrum having no reciprocal reaction. In other words, it can't hear it. Your mind immediately says that's not true. That's its reaction. That is the shadow of any ordinary operations of the mind. So to say that rebel thought, or let's stop and say there is some kind of thought that has no shadow. And the mind immediately says, that can't be true. Or it says something. Do you follow? That's its shadow. So revolutionist thought is that which has no alternative. Well, it's not true and it's not false. Is there anything else you can say about it? Well, we've said too much already. Yeah, but hey, it's too late now, right? Yeah, it is. And Kyroots said, if an ordinary man depends on his mind to tell him when things are getting better, secondary world, hint, hint, remember, as opposed to the nonverbal world. If an ordinary man depends on his mind to tell him when things are getting better, it will not be long before his liver and guts will be requesting a transfer. Does anybody want to think about that? Well, I know we go around the edges of some of this several times of late. Consider there are two places you can feel good, back to the point of describing this, where thought seems to have a shadow that we apparently can divide up for whatever purposes we have to do so. of man into the secondary world, which is synonymous with thought, with his mind, with the intellect, and that which would be below the upper floors of his structure, the primary world that is not taught. You could feel good. You could know that things were getting better in the primary world and the secondary world. Let's say that you could be sans melancholy, depression. You could feel as though things are all right. You just got through with the kind of example I assume everybody got a taste of. You just got through running, working out at the gym, a good screw, a good meal. And it's almost as though you could look away before your mind can catch up. And it's just, feeling good. Until, of course, you realize such things of your ordinary, like, Jesus, why am I feeling good? That kind of thing. You could feel good at that level, theoretically, without this, which you can't, but theoretically you could. I mean, a dog feels good, so that you're not actually a dog. But to take a common, useful parallel, well, most of you aren't. A dog can feel good. Animals can feel good. You can see them stretch, and then you can see dogs especially, or baboons, those of you that have other domesticated pets besides dogs. And you can see them, in essence, almost smile, stretch and just feel good. So there's that. Back to this one. If you're dependent upon your mind to tell you when you feel good, that things are getting better, it won't be long before other parts will be asking for a transfer. I think I'm safe in saying on Kyroots' behalf that is somewhere less than a literal, or is meant somewhere less than literally correct. Because I would hate for anyone to go home and start taping up your abdominal region, afraid that you're going to have important parts try and make a getaway. This went into, it was like a game. You recall a sports game? It was about the league was in temporary disarray, and so there was a pickup game, and the game ended up being between truth and goodness. And the score sounded like this. I mean, this is supposed to be the score. Here's the first score. Sounded like, if there was any justice, much less intelligence behind this sorority being alive, I assume he means, there would be more dancers than there are musicians in the band, builders of ballroom floors, and shoe repairmen. Verses. But there are. Back to the first score. Well, I rest my case. First time around, he actually said, tie game. That is not as intertwined and complex as that may have seemed. Is that not the final score? Is that not the way the secondary world normally keeps alive through its incestuous operations of feeding itself, feeding its own pocket, is if it really gets caught? Like it's you, at best, it's you against stupidity. And suddenly here it is, 11:15 at night, let's say, and you've got to go to bed. And apparently, you never thought about it this way, but once I say it, you will recognize the propriety and the validity of what I say. It's not the righteousness of our cause, and don't forget to send in the big... And so here it is, time to go to bed, and the score is stupidity, 407, and you, well, let's say maybe 0. You hadn't lost ground. All right, 1. How does life keep going at the secondary level? How does a person keep going? How do people pretend? Presidents, prime ministers, popes, rabbis, people of authority standing up saying, yes, well, I'm glad you asked that. And you think, well, now we're finally going to get an answer that has some educated wherewithal behind it, when it does not. Well, I'm glad you asked that. Yes, I'm driving this bus. you're in good hands when you ride with me. So, that being the case constantly, what happens? Well, here it is. The score for the day is 4,007 to 2. And you go, well, okay, tie game. And you go to bed. That's not it? You don't understand? The man says, I'm glad you people asked me this. I'm captain of the ship, driver of the bus, head of state. And it's good that you have me here, a man that you can depend on. I'll take any questions. Somebody says, well, I'd like to know what happens if my bus ticket turns out to be phony or something really serious, if I die. What if I get sick on the bus? Or why is there one shoe in the road? And he says, very, very good question. Glad I could be here. Delighted to be able to be of service and assistance to you in this great time of need. And it's all, I think they call it in sociology, bullshit. In other words, he doesn't know. But does that bother anybody? If some smart aleck jumped out of the woodwork of reality and say, what are you doing sitting wherever you are? Political rally, Institute of Higher Education, an art museum, a church, a temple, a mosque, a political rally. And if you jumped out and said, did you hear what just went on? And let's say again that you, for whatever reason, that you lapsed into this temporary moment of extraordinary lucidity. And you said, do you understand that this is like, nobody knows what's going on? And you went, yeah. How do you manage that? Well, tie game then. Do you understand that he doesn't know what he's talking about? Well, all right, yeah, but okay, we'll let it go. You understand? But somebody just says, trust in me, I can operate on you. I can remove this lesion on your brain. I'm an expert in this. I'm a neuro, what do you call them? I'll meet you down at that place where they do the blood, and, You follow? If it wasn't that, it'd be a man, yes, I'm a man of religion. What will happen when I die? No problem, I'll tell you exactly. And in a moment of some kind of lucidity, everybody knows that nobody knows what they're doing. If I survive this operation, I'm not religious, but if I get through this operation without that man cutting out half of my brain or sneezing, and it'll be a miracle. And I don't believe him, but it will be a miracle. If I get home tonight, if I can drive home 3 miles from here down the public highways without getting killed, not a plane crashing down on me, not a bus just running on head on, but something just happening, it will be a miracle. But when you're faced with that, what do? Well, you're right, it's 11:15, I've got to go to bed. And so I maybe still have another 5 minutes, and the score is 4,720 to 2. Their favor. So okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. For today, we'll call it a tie game, and we'll pick it up tomorrow. Is that not the nature of the secondary world? I knew that some of you would finally, shall I say, get or like that one. I'm sure you understand. We're not talking about other people. It is the nature of life. And you can see it in you. That's where I started this, and I thought it was getting too complex right off the bat, and so I started talking about other people and ministers or somebody running for political office. It is the dance of life. That's why nobody cares if nobody's really disturbed if it turns out the guy driving the bus is blind. You just don't think about it. You don't hear that the President of the United States, or of Norway, the Prime Minister, for those of us in that area. Nobody wants to find out that you just don't. There's no offense to the man personally. As you know, we're not even interested in that. But to find out that the man who apparently can mash buttons, send people off to war, raise your taxes, to find out in person the man has got the intelligence. You had a knuckle that they used to keep up in the attic. He's about that sharp, but in some way he can get up and he can kind of dress up and there's some kind of charisma. He's like, as all politicians are, he's a would-be entertainer with no talent. And so you have to end up in politics is all it is. But to find out, which you don't want to, but people can hear it. I don't mean just smart-ass, in-tune people that go, yeah, you're right. Boy, I hate so-and-so. He's of the wrong party. I don't mean that. People can hear the fact, or even if I just described, if I said, hey, I can get you in to see the governor. I can get you in to see the president, and we'll sit down for a few minutes, and you watch. Just look. Just keep your eyes open. Forget politics. Just keep your eyes open. The man hasn't got any more sense than somebody out there digging ditches. I mean, he can smile. I mean, you're going to feel that kind of thing. You're there in the Oval Office or the Square Office. But the man, he's just a dumbass. He just is routine to be charitable about it. And so people, even if I didn't take them there, people can get a glimpse of that. They just hear the truth of that. But it's just like that. Because you're not supposed to. There's nothing wrong. Or to find out that the people driving the bus, you remember the one from last time, people don't really care that the bus driver's blind. Because people understand he ain't really driving the bus. Except what are you going to do with that information? And so you have to play, well, that's important. No, I'm very concerned about environmental affairs. And so I want to see somebody in office. And I'm telling you, I want somebody who is equally environmentally concerned. It's just a hobby. But you got to be serious. No, I used to be a Presbyterian, but I converted. I am now a Muslim. And my whole life has changed. I used to point with my right finger, and now I point with my left, which those of you who know anything about Arabic culture, it's another joke, which I didn't mean to get into. Well, it's not a joke. It's a serious matter, but that wasn't the point. But you could jump out at people. You could jump out at people and say, wait a minute. Was it serious when you were a Christian? And the truth is, no. Well, is it more serious now that you're something new, a Buddhist? And the truth is, no. But of course, you're not supposed to point that. People wouldn't prove anything because their feeling would be, if you cornered them like that, it's like, hey, give me a break. I'm just here and I'm alive. I'm on the bus like the rest of us. Lay off of me. Which, of course, you should lay off. But the game, back to the game, we're not talking about other people, politicians or priests or anybody. It's here. What do you do with the fact that you personally, forget everybody else now, that you, in some extraordinary ephemeral minute of unexpected lucidity, every now and then you realize, I don't have the least idea what in the hell I'm talking about, what I'm thinking. My body can get through life. I've made it this far. You at least should be that smart by now that you're not going around, taking your own blood pressure and doing this shit. If you are, you got your own hobby and you shouldn't be fooling with this anyway. But you ought to be the point to understand that physically, the driver's blind. But your bus, assuming genetically we can't help that, we'll assume, just to get through this, that you can't help that. That coming here is not going to help. And so, but let's assume that you're just generally an ordinary person physically at the primary level and that you're going to make it through 60 years. This, it's a hobby. And going and having checkups all the time and where the latest disease is, to pull out your book, that you got a big medical book, and you can look it up and think, wait a minute, I was feeling like that 3 weeks ago. That's a hobby. But it is almost, if there was such a thing, it is an activity that is diametrically opposed to this. So it's just the basis why I was trying to get you to see was that at one level that everybody can understand, the body itself, if you're just ordinary, back to that, and fairly sane, and that you apparently are genetically going to live out 60 or 70 years and just more or less in average health, to understand that the driver of the bus at that level is blind. And it doesn't make a damn bit of difference. And to think otherwise is a hobby. It's all right, but it's simply a hobby. Then you're left with this. Could it be an extraordinary hobby? Could I do something further with this? If you can, then you've got to understand that if this thing is blind, then I cannot end up each day saying, well, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. We'll call it a tie and pick it up tomorrow. It is no tie game. That is the excuse, in a sense, for having to face up to the fact that you can't put a period on the day. You can't put a period on anything you know, because you don't know anything for sure. And to say you do is a hobby. To say you do is you're the most pretentious, ass-grabbing seeker of public office possible. For you to say, wait a minute, that's not true. I know what I'm doing. Hey, you got my vote. I mean, that is the worst imitation I have ever seen of a combination probably of Mussolini, Stalin, and Nixon combined. Now I know what I'm talking about. Good. Run for office. That is the closest of trying to put a period and to say, yes, I know what I'm doing, and you don't. So, and every sane person knows they don't. Everybody knows that they wouldn't be in church. They wouldn't be thinking, where will our leaders come from? If only a Democrat, if only a Christian socialist will get in office, then we'll have some hope. All of that is unrecognized proof, unrecognized admission that people do not know what they're talking about. They don't know what to think, they don't know what to do. And so everybody's waiting, where's a hero? Where's somebody, where's a book, where's somebody to tell me what to do? To make up for that is what this Kyroot was about, was this, as though at the end of each day the score is what I don't know, or stupidity if you want it short, but what I don't know, 4,720, and what I do know, 1. And so you think, well, it's late, God, I got to get some sleep. I got to press on tomorrow. So, all right, I'll tell you what I'll do, you say to life, you say to stupidity. You say, all right, here's what we'll do. Today we'll call it tie game. Pick it up tomorrow. But notice, again, if you need any additional encouragement to notice, the natural, may I say that? Yes. The natural superiority of life, that it will let you do that. Not only let you do it, it doesn't give a rat's ass. Just think if life wasn't any better than most people think it is, and you would pull that kind of crap, that here it is, life. Forget how that ended up, but you got to understand, you got to admit, that every day the scores, I'm somewhere close. I didn't really get up my calculator and plot it, but each day, what you personally know for sure and what you don't know, the score somewhere in each and every day, most people, this part of the world, and if you're between the ages of 17 and 77, I'm somewhere in the ballpark that each day the score is more or less 4,720, take 10 or 15 runs, to 2. All right? So that's just a given once you see it. And so notice, each and every day, throughout the day, you can make fun of life. Or at the end of each day, which would seem to be the final insult each day, is you can tell life, well, all right, and you look up, and there's the score again, that you're still somewhere in the neighborhood of the 12 or 30 score above 4,000 down. In other words, the score every day is you 2 and life over 4,000. And so each and every day you go, well, okay, got to go to bed, life, but today we'll call it even. We'll pick it up tomorrow. Consider that you do that, and life not only never does anything excruciatingly painful to you, it doesn't even care. That's for all the people that think, boy, life's unfair, life's unjust. But then again, at least I go, notice this, life doesn't care if you do that. I guess it's nice, though, for the religious people to have a real hobby and not feel like it's not life. That's too impersonal. There is somebody somewhere on black velvet, a nice-looking gentleman with long flowing hair, and it's he that can look at my frailties and say, well, the poor boy is still over 4,000 runs behind. And in his great velvety heart of hearts, thinks, well, I'll let him live another 60 or 70 years and see if he can catch up. But hell, if he's God, he knows you're not going to catch up. Nobody's ever caught up. So you're back to the impersonal version is actually better. To realize that each and every day you pull this same crap on life, like, all right, I got to go to bed, tie game today. Every day you pull that. I didn't have to do any more, did I, about take it all inside. It's not you in life, you do it to you. Yeah, but I'm getting somewhere. You are? Well, sure, I'm going to night school. In fact, I saw several of you take notes on that. They mentioned that sociologist night school. But every day you do it to yourself. You give in to yourself. Well, sure, I'm stupid. You don't say it this way, I don't think. Many of you do. That you're saying, well, I'm still over 4,000 stupid runs behind. Or smart runs, according to how you look at it. I'm still that far behind in what I intended to do. In other words, I started out, as far back as I can remember, not only was I a real fleshy child, but I was stupid on top of it. I had a lard ass and I was stupid. And plus I had but anyway, I was stupid. I started out at least 4,000 stupid runs behind. But now, through dint of my hard work, going to school at night and working 3 jobs, I am now 35 years old, and the score now is roughly 4,270 to 2. You go to bed each night satisfied with that. You go to bed each lifetime satisfied with that. Well, all right. You don't put it this way, but it's the same thing. We'll call it a tie game, which is saying, all right, I'm living and learning. I'm learning from my intelligence. I am simply the tip of the iceberg. I will now empower myself. I may have been an abuse. Every day you do it to yourself. And think of how superior you are. Do you ever turn on yourself? Do you ever do kind of this weird crap and these things about people standing in front of mirrors talking to themselves in their own brain? And whatever the crap, the brain talks back, or the reflection talks back. No, you people are sane. You wouldn't put up that kind of, that's just some kind of something somebody wrote. Every day you say, well, live and learn. Yeah, I'm still down over 4,000 runs, but tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's another iceberg. And you down on your bow and it says, Titanic. Yeah, but you know, as the Kennard family did, that you're unsinkable. I always enjoyed that history never points out what the French definition of, it's the Kennard line, what Kennard means. In another language, which is, I guess, why we have more than one language on this planet, so that you can say something dumb in at least part of the world, not know that you were saying something real dumb, because they go, what do you say? Good night.